false statement that harms someone's reputation. And defamation is saying it when you know it's not true. Like making a false statement that harms someone is not necessarily defamation. I think what puts it over the edge is when they can prove that you knew it wasn't true, but you said it anyways. Should defamation be allowed in a diss record in hip hop? Is it okay if it's in a diss record? Let me know in the chat. Should defamation be allowed in a hip hop record? Because it's not allowed in any other part of our society. So should it be allowed in a hip hop record? Felicia said it's entertainment, and how can you prove I don't think it's true? Well, that's a good point, Felicia. This is actually, what you just said is why a lot of people don't win their defamation suits, even if they have a real case, because you have to prove, like you don't only have to prove that the statement is false, and you don't only have to prove that it harmed you. You have to prove that the person who said it knew it was false. So this is why a lot of people lose their defamation suits. Some people says depends on what? In a diss? So y'all think defamation, so let me ask y'all this. Do y'all think defamation should be allowed, period, just in society? Should you be able to make false statements about people that you know are false, that harm their reputation? Should you just be able to say that about people in general? We're not even talking about Kendrick Drake. We're just talking about defamation, period. Do you just disagree that defamation should be illegal? Freedom of speech. Chuck says freedom of speech, but freedom of speech does not include defamation. No, defamation is not protected by the First Amendment. The First Amendment being freedom of speech. So there's certain speech that's not protected in the First Amendment. People get lied on all the time. It's different. Being lied on is different than defamation. People lie all the time. People keep saying people lie all the time. Being lied on is different than defamation. Defamation is allowed in other parts of our society. Just watch an average South Park episode. Not in general, and this is yes. This is our niche that are extremely small amount of people partake. Got to be 7 said defamation should not be allowed outside of entertainment. So if you have an issue with someone and you want to ruin their reputation, as long as you put it in a format that's in entertainment, it's okay. The Demon that says 99% of diss records are defamatory. Not necessarily. Some diss records have factual information. Sure, it might have harmed someone, but it's not defamation because some diss records have information in it that's true. I mean, if someone tells you to talk about liking young girls and you call them a PDF, it's not defamation. In general, that's a weird thing to say. I'm just trying to make sure we have logical consistency here. If you willingly engage in our public person, I see an argument for it. Because the thing is this, I don't think Kendrick actually thinks Drake is a pedo. I don't think he thinks that. And people will pull up the video of Drake doing the things on stage with that teenage girl who said she was 17. We're not going to describe anything in detail because we like our videos being monetized, right? But even that, by definition, is not pedophilia. Pedophilia and Conch said this in the chat before, and I was like, Conch, you can't say that because even you knowing this information, even though you're right, it makes you look weird. Like, why do you know this? Pedophilia is attraction to a prepubescent child. So even if we knew Drake, we say, Drake, okay, you did something weird, and this is why we're saying this about you, it's not factually correct. I'm just giving you the opposite argument. So should the defamation be allowed? And it's like, it's as long as it's entertainment, it's fine. Even if you ruin someone's reputation, I don't know. I'm asking y'all, but me personally, I actually need to sit and think about this. The Takeover by Jay, for example, is a factual diss, right? You don't know what Kendrick knows, nor do you know what he thinks. Well, now you're playing a dangerous game. Because Felicia, if you're saying that Kendrick did know Drake was a PDF, then why is Kendrick still being buddy-buddy with him on Euphoria? Y'all still love when you see success. Why do you like when a guy you know is a pedo, is seeing success? Why, you know, how many times does he say he loves Drake on this song? What do you say? Friends, pray they're my real friends. Why are you calling them your friends? Why are you saying I love him to death? 8 bars, I'll explain that. If you knew this, why are you being buddy-buddy with him? So the rabbit hole goes deep. We'll get back to the video.
Without fully thinking about, you know, what they were kind of platforming here before they did. Just being kind of blinded.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't even think Kendrick believes this stuff. I don't think Kendrick believes some of the things he accused Drake of. And if I'm being logically consistent, yes. If Kendrick does not believe it, but he said it, and it hurt Drake's reputation, which it obviously did, that's defamation. Isn't it fair play to sue for it? But then that puts our beloved diss records, it puts our diss records in jeopardy. But you can also say it doesn't necessarily put the diss records in jeopardy. It puts you saying false info in a diss record in jeopardy. So don't make a diss record about someone saying false stuff or stuff that you know ain't true. When you make a diss record, make sure you know what you're talking about, right? I don't know. I still have to think about that. I have to think about my own thoughts on this. My thoughts aren't fully like formed on this. It's just a thought that I had as I'm watching this. Why did Kendrick call Drake a goat on Hey Now? Interesting. Yeah. Kendrick calls Drake a goat on Hey Now. Kendrick calls Drake a goat on Euphoria. Like there's people who are actually in the industry saying Kendrick and Drake were talking about how the beef is going to go. They're maybe not friends, but they're cordial. If you actually believe this stuff about this person, which I don't think Kendrick does, why would you be in conversation with him like that? Why are you talking about him like this? Kendrick didn't snap on Drake until Drake started mentioning his wife. Something to think about. Challenge your own thoughts, you know?
With all the dollars.
Easy McConaughey said certified lover boy, certified ephebophile doesn't hit. Right, but why does Easy McConaughey say that? It's because ephebophile, if you want to point to Drake doing the things on stage with the teenage girl as your main evidence of Drake being a pedo, quote unquote, then yes, you're describing it wrong. It's factually wrong because there's a term for that for people in that age range, and it's not pedophile, it's ephebophile. So you calling him a pedophile is factually incorrect when you know it's incorrect. Ain't that defamation? Saying false statements about someone that you know ain't true? I mean, come on. I'm not saying y'all gotta be on Drake's side. I'm just saying, observe your own thoughts. Yeah, HUR said having a friendly fade with a man you think is a pedo is crazy. Right, so that's what I'm saying. I don't even think Kendrick believes this. I think Kendrick was just taking narratives that were on social media and putting it in his songs. And Drake, I think Drake was doing the same thing. Demonite says the teenage girl situation and Millie Bobby Brown situation is out there. Yeah, one could infer Drake is a weirdo without being defamatory. See, you can say Drake is a weirdo in a diss record. It's when you start making the accusations. No, you're this. You're a PDF. I already said the word a million times in this video. Why am I saying PDF now? That's when it becomes, that's when you border in that line. If Kendrick just went on a song and been like, yo, Drake, you're weird, and doesn't really point out why he's weird or making these stark accusations, then yeah, I don't think there's a defamation suit there. But I'm gonna let the lawyer, I got this video pulled up with Mo Ganga on No Jumper. I'm gonna not watch too much of this, but I'm gonna try to get to why he thinks there's a strong case against UMG. I mean, dude's an actual lawyer. Kendrick lied, let's just accept it to move on. Well, they both lied, right? Drake lied, Kendrick lied, right? But there's some people in the chat, now that I break this down logically, there's now people saying, yo, no one actually believes these things about Drake. Are you serious? Are you in the YouTube comments? Are you on X? Like, people actually believe that stuff. Did people forget Kendrick brought out Dr. Dre? I mean, we've spoken about Kendrick and his whole thing. I personally just don't think Kendrick cares like that. I think he was just using information that the fans were putting out, put it in a diss record to win the battle, which he did. CS said, yo, we don't make those distinctions between ephebophile, hebophile, pedophile, because it's really hard to not sound like a PO. Explaining the differences. This is what I was saying to Conch. Conch, like a couple streams ago, he was kind of making a similar point that I'm making now. But I was like, Conch, even though you're right, you can't say that. Because people are gonna look at you like, why do you know that? People are gonna look at you weird for just knowing the difference. See, I took a sex ed class when I was, actually I took it like in middle school and I took it in college. So we learned all these differences between these terms. But yeah, the average person don't know that.